We mean that this book is like the opposite of Dune. There is zero spice. Yeah.
Were you just laying down?
And we're back.
We're doing a podcast about some books that are similar to The Court of Thorns and Roses, but they're not those books. What is the book?
Same author. It's Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas.
Throne of Glass. This book, does it involve glass?
Technically, yeah.
Okay, so this is mostly going to be about glass. I'm Clayton. I never read these books, but I've been told they're good.
I'm Michael, and I read these books on a couple of cross-country airplane flights.
I'm Katie. I'm reading this series for the second time.
I'm Christine, reading it for the first time, read this book a weekend, maybe a couple weekends ago.
Just a warning to all those who are thinking about reading these books or books that are similar to this, there's going to be spoilers.
Sorry,
Process,
the
just
glass
don't
thing,
do
we
it.
ruined that for
Yeah,
you.
there's sorry, in case you didn't know, there's glass. What is this book?
There's this 17-year-old assassin who enters like a Hunger Games like situation.
But before this, she's stuck in this camp, and she's like completely thin and skin bones at this point.
Yeah, she's in a slave camp for a year. It's fine. She like killed a bunch of people while she was there. It was awesome.
She's the greatest one in the whole universe.
Assassin.
The greatest assassin in the whole universe is 17 years old.
Yeah.
And then the prince of this like kingdom that's been conquering other kingdoms comes and gets her out and it's like, be my champion so I can like throw a hissy fit for my dad.
And if she wins as the king's champion, then the prince gives her a deal that she can go free after 4 years. But basically, like, the king's champion just means you do like the king's dirty work. The king is like super evil.
And then she wins. She has a best friend named Bohemia, who is this fierce black woman princess, and she's awesome. She forms a love triangle between the prince and the leader of the guard.
Dorian is the prince, and that's who she likes in this book.
There is something that that's killing off competitors, and we don't realize till later in the book, but it's called a rhetoric, and it's like a other dimensional evil being that eats people.
I'm imagining a Dementor.
Like a Dementor if it was like a Chupacabra.
There's magic, but magic has been outlawed by the king. But Elena like explained that word magic was like it predates the type of magic that the king has outlawed. So you can still use it because it's so old.
It's a loophole. Yeah, what would you give your review? You know, one by one here. What would you give it out of 5 stars? And then also just what were some things that really stuck out to you about this book?
If we're gonna rate this out of 5 stars, I give it like a 2, mainly because they give you this like Hunger Games thing, except half of the games aren't even in the book. They just tell you like she did a competition, and then there's like this murder mystery where all the other champions are getting killed. But again, like half the people just like die off screen, and they're just like, oh yeah, someone else died, whatever. We'll look into that later. The ending was really cool. Like it's definitely setting up for some big payoffs later on. But this one, like just alone, 2 stars.
All right, what do you think, Christine?
I agree. I feel like it was kind of underdeveloped in some of that. As a YA novel, I think I would have liked this more if I read it when I was in middle school or early high school. I'm saying that overall, I gave it like 3.5. There were definitely things missing to make it a good book in my mind. The love triangle was super weak too. I feel like when I read this book, I thought Kale was an asexual character, so I didn't even realize that it was supposed to be a love triangle. I also felt like the book was supposed to be like almost darker, but it didn't quite hit that mark. Like there's this evil guy who's brutally murdering people through dark magic throughout the book, but like it's fine. We just like let that be, and we don't really talk about it that much. I'm still excited to read the rest of the series. This just felt like she was setting up a lot at the beginning, truly the beginning of the story, just like scratching the surface of what the real story is going to end up being in the series.
What do you think, Katie?
I give it a 3.8.
Okay.
But I also know where it's going, and I love the series, so maybe I'm a little biased. I also love a strong female lead, and Selena like kicks ass, so I like can't give a bad review to someone who writes a really strong female character. I mean, all her female characters are really strong. Like Bohemia is pretty strong. Even there's like a kind of a female antagonist whose name I totally forgot. It starts with a K. She's kind of a bitch, but even she's like fierce.
What do you think about the guard character that's asexual?
Kale sucks and he's the worst and I hate him through the whole series. But I just think he constantly underestimates Selena and he does a lot of mansplaining and he's like not very emotionally developed. Like he's kind of petty about stuff.
Addictability. What do you guys think about addictability? Would you continue reading this series? Does this make you not want to read it anymore? What's your opinion on this? Numbers would be good.
4 out of 5.
Yeah, totally. It's easy to read. So this is our like weather report of like how hot and spicy this book was. Well, I guess here to explain the the temperature of this book, let's go to Katie as our spicy meteorologist.
Thank you, Michael. As you guys know, for the past week of reading this book in Argolin, been in a bit of a dry spell. A little bit of heat, you feel a little bit of static electricity in the air, but those rain clouds that just pass on by. Not even a drizzle. And we're all thirsty. More detailed reports go to our field reporter, Christine.
We're all thirsty. I love it. This book, it was like a slightly warm March day where it reaches 60s, you know, and you get excited and you put shorts on, you go outside, but it's actually windy and still shitty and kind of chillier than you were hoping for. And you're just, you know, you get the tease of spring and summer and you're just sort of craving that 90-degree toasting heat, but it's still chillier than you were hoping.
I don't understand.
We mean that this book is like the opposite of Dune. There is zero spice.
Yeah.
Great use of
There's some kissing, guys, if you're looking for a direct answer.
We go like 300 pages, 299 actually, before the first kiss happens.
I thought you were counting.
Yes, I counted because we opened up the book and you heard me squeal over the other room like, oh my gosh, finally something's happening.
Okay, so you're telling me this book is 3 out of 5, 2 out of 5, 3.8. We don't know. Its spiciness level is that of a early March day.
Drink, talk, learn.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Clayton, what's Drink Talk Learn?
Drink, talk, learn. The rules are it's 3 to 5 minutes long. You're going to present some kind of topic and we're going to be drinking. We're going to try to learn something and there's going to be heckling throughout. And will be awards of some sort. They're not going to be physical rewards or monetary, but they will be pats on the back.
So you're allowed witty banter, but if it's non-witty banter, you're allowed to death by screech them. Okay, you want to start? Let me get my screen shared here. My presentation, my Drink Talk Learn, is this book was all about the King's Champion competition, right? How I imagine each of the tests based on their descriptions. So we'll see what those were like. Test number 1, archery. So in the book, the description was, rules are simple. You get 5 shots, 1 per target. The one with the worst aim goes home. So obviously, this is just like Cabela's shooting gallery, right? That's how I imagined it. Test number 2, castle climbing. All right, the description was, the test was simple. Climb the castle to where the flag waves 90 feet in the air and retrieve it. So this was like that game in The Hunchback of Notre Dame, Disney's animated storybook. It's a PC game, I don't know if you guys ever played it, where Quasimodo had to carry Esmeralda down the castle, but go up.
I played this game. I know what this game is.
This is a deep track there. But anyway, in combination with Mario jumping for the flag. Wait, can you guys hear my audio too? No?
I didn't hear any
Playing
audio.
the Mario song. Okay, that's okay. Hopefully the video works.
It sounds something like.
Test number 3, javelin throwing on horseback. The description in the book was the last test had been javelin throwing on horseback. So obviously Sarah left a lot up for us to use our imagination. And for some reason, I imagined them standing on the horses as they're throwing these. So I'm imagining like a Dothraki fight scene right now. And I kind of wish that she would ignore description, but that's how I imagined it. And then the final test, which was one-on-one combat. This scene was like super chaotic for me. Selena is basically drugged. She sees like these flying beasts all around. Everyone else that's watching is very confused. So the description of the book, there were 2 creatures now, and the second one had wings. It threw her to the ground, and its claws ripped at her. Dorian watched in wide-eyed terror as Selena thrashed on the ground, waving away things they couldn't see. What was happening? We don't know. It's kind of confusing. So obviously, this is just like in Always Sunny when they have the Birds of War fight scene. Because this scene, I think, just accurately captures the chaos and the confusion from the spectators. So hopefully you guys will be able to actually... Here's the video clip.
Ladies and gentlemen, get ready to take flight with the Birds of War!
What's up, America? All right! Hey, troops! All right, guys, drop a beat for us. You ready? Stomp, clap, stomp, stomp, clap, stomp, clap, stomp, stomp, clap. Come on, America! Come on, y'all! The eagle's born out of thunder. He flies through the night. Don't you mess with his eggs now. Oh, you'll see him fight. Yes, we have feathers. But the muscles of men. 'Cause we're birds of war now. But we're also men. Birds of war.
They're not responding to the pageantry
The
at
whole
all.
second verse is completely
The
ridiculous.
second verse is necessary to clarify what we
We're
are.
mics.
Matt.
We're mics.
We're not. Our microphones are on. Are they hearing this? Do the routine.
Go.
Right? Accurately captured the end scene, I think.
That's not how I expected it, but I think from now on.
So, in conclusion to my Drink Talk Learn, this book was not actually about the King's Champion competition.
I want to read this book more now. This seems great. Yeah, what do you got for us, Mike?
Dante. Oh my goodness.
Okay, so Christina had her interpretation of the ending of the book. Mine is called Dante, Drugs, and Demons, an analysis of the final fight of Throne of Glass. Okay, so to recap the final battle, Selena and her opponent, Cain, who is the bad guy, his name is literally Cain, have just defeated their opponents in the semifinals of the duel, and now they're about to go in one-on-one combat. But they give both of them like a goblet to drink, you know, a well-wishing wine or whatever, right before the battle. But Selena's has poison in it because obviously she would just win easily if she wasn't poisoned beforehand. So they have this massive fight, and she starts going completely delirious, starts having hallucinations, and Cain starts just absolutely beating her. And while she's hallucinating, she starts to see all these demons, and like they're flying through the air and they're clawing at her, and they all seem to be like coming out of Cain or like, out of this portal behind Cain. When finally, just when all hope seems lost, Princess Bohemia comes through and casts some like word magic and basically causes the goddess Elena to come and shine her golden shield through and blast away all the demons in her hallucination, while simultaneously curing the poison. And then Selena is able to take over and finally win once she, is no longer encumbered. The battle looks something like this. You have, Selena, after drinking the poison, really just flop. You see, this is what everyone else was seeing. In her mind, she's being attacked by demons, but she's really just flopping on the floor. But afterwards, she comes through and absolutely just demolishes Kane. So we're looking into some of the religious and mythological symbolism that I guarantee Sarah did not put in here. So I went and looked into her background here, pulled up her Wikipedia here. It turns out she minored in religious studies at Hamilton College. So I went in and I found the Hamilton syllabus for getting a minor in religious studies and found you have to take this Imagining Religions class, which includes interpreting religions in a wide variety of ways and an interdisciplinary interpretive project, which, well, I mean, she majored in creative writing and this, so obviously her interdisciplinary interpretive project was this book, drawing upon the text and images. And I will look at some of those. So, see, these are some of the characters I think she was drawing inspiration from. So Faustus obviously is the inspiration for Cain. You can easily imagine Cain in the scene where he's down there in the dungeons summoning this demon, just as Faustus is, summoning Mephistopheles. I think she might have been looking at either Greek or Shinto religions when she's pulling out this idea of Elena, this like sun goddess who shows up with the shield. In Japanese Shinto, you have Amaterasu, who's this just like shining goddess with a golden shield, and same thing with Athena or Minerva, always carries this like golden shield. And then I like to think of Selena as like an Artemis type character. She's literally in the book given this bow and arrow by the child, and in addition to a bow and arrow, Artemis also likes to dual wield knives. Going to some of the demonic imagery of this battle, she literally named the villain Cain. Like this is just so obvious. I think in her religious studies classes, she was looking at some of these paintings or something like this. You can easily imagine, this image of God coming and like casting away Cain is literally just like Elena showing up in the hallucination and scaring away the demons. In the battle, they talk about how Cain is literally paralyzed, like he can't like fight back anymore, while Selena is coming back, from her debilitation. So
looks like the bitch slap him.
Yeah, kind of. But like you can see, like in the middle one here, this is literally the story right here. On the left side of the panel, you've got Selena and Cain sharing their drink, and then Cain starts beating Selena to the ground, and then God or Elena comes through and scares away Cain, giving Selena just enough time to recoup herself and establish victory. And this image over here with the flying demons behind Cain is how I imagine the Cain in the book kind of looks like to Selena as she's flopping on the ground like a fish.
So Abel died, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. But maybe the goddess Elena is a little bit more powerful. So this is interesting. She clearly would have read about Dante in some of these courses, and this drawing over here on the left is talking about the Mellebranche, which are these flying demons, which literally translates to evil claws, much like the Ritterak, and as Cain is described as having these massive claws, and they protect the eighth circle of hell. And we've got this other image that I like to imagine she saw, more like Jesus or Elena type character, shoving away the demons at the last second and saving.
Jesus has a nice ass in that picture.
Mm-hmm. And finally, I think we need to look into some of the hallucinogenics that were used in this. She talks about this blood vein, which is the actual drug that she was given, which causes these hallucinations to occur. And what she also mentions in the book may have contributed to the formation of the whole like religion and religious structure that they have for their whole culture. And so I've got some examples here of in Hindu culture, they've got literally in their holy books, they talk about not only drinking soma, but fighting a massive war between the Devas and Asuras, and getting this soma, which is basically this hallucinogenic mushroom-derived drug. In Mesoamerican societies, they use psilocybin, and even in in popular culture, we know that like the oracles at Delphi were probably just sitting over methane vents. So I think she learned some of this in school and brought it into her books, as far as this idea of like creating a culture, creating a religion, or creating these types of experiences from hallucinogens. So, in conclusion, yeah, these are like the sources that I think she's pulling from in creating these characters. Selena, she acts as an Artemis character or an April type character, but the last second becomes Perseus, as she's handed the shield by Elena, who acts as the Minerva and Athena to her Perseus. And Cain is literally just Cain. Like it's literally just Cain. You know, I like the Faustus idea there too. But in conclusion, stay away from drugs unless you're ready to see some demons. And I put this little Twitter in here because I thought it was really funny. I can't stop thinking about people that first ate mushrooms they found and just had to go through trial and error like this. This one tastes like beef. This one killed Brian immediately. And this one makes you see God for a week. And that's it.
That was great.
Yeah, that was.
I want to read this book now. This seems like a good book. Thank you, Michael. That was great. And Katie, what do you got for us here?
Okay. Are you an assassin that finds yourself without access to your weapons? This is a DIY guide to self-defense. So I'm here to remind you that you're an assassin. You can put the do-it-yourself into DIY. Now, I know what you're thinking. I'm a 17-year-old girl who just got out of a year-long term at a slave camp. I'm not that strong. Well, literature shows that you can throw a punch at about 3.5 times your body mass. So what that means is for an amateur boxer, you're throwing about 2,500 newtons with each punch. And as we know, you are the world's greatest assassin, so probably punching higher than that. Now, how much damage can that amount of force get you? Well, studies have shown to fracture someone's skull, you're going to need more about 3,300 newtons of force. So maybe a little beyond what you're capable of right now. But you add something sharp to the mix and you stab someone, then you only need about 206 newtons. That's 260. That's like nothing. Easily achievable. So our first project is to make a hairpin and thread shiv. I don't know why this is being so weird. So what you'll need. First, a hairpin. In the book, Selena used bone, but I live in the modern world, so I used a chopstick. And you'll need some thread to bind that. It's important that you break off the end of your pin so that you have a jagged surface. Here is our melon lord who we will test this out on. Here I'm stabbing with my shiv, and I'm actually able to penetrate the exterior of the watermelon. So I'm going to give this one a pass. It did good. Next, we'll make a bar soap and sewing needle miniature pike. What's a pike? It's basically a long wooden stick with a pointy end, but obviously these are pretty difficult to sneak within your corset, so that's why we're making it miniature. What you'll need is a bar of soap and some sewing needles or pens to push into it. In addition, I would recommend a thimble just to protect your thumb as you're securing the pins in the soap, and some kind of heat source to more securely attach those sewing needles. So again, here's our melon lord. I went for the eyes first, and as you can see, very effective. Your opponent is blind now, so it's a great place to aim. Here we have us attacking the head again. Obviously less penetration, but an unforeseen benefit, the needles get left behind within the skin. Definitely could cause some distraction. Get away. Now, I know you're asking yourself, great, I can get away, but how likely am I to kill someone with this? Well, overall mortality rate with stabbings is only about 3.2%, so not that great. If you're able to get the heart, much higher, but that's pretty difficult. And if you're going for the easy abdomen, it's even lower, like 2.4%. Now, if you've scared your opponent away and they're running and you stab them in the buttocks, that goes up to 3.8%. So don't forget about that option. So if stabbing's not going to kill someone, let's look at some blunt objects. Take a look around. What do you have available? Celine in the book used a candlestick, a heavy book, a potted plant, some pool equipment. What I used was a rolling pin. Now look at that fractured skull. Oh, definitely over 3,000 newtons of force there. And if you're not sure if that works, you know, that double tap. Good. And there you have it. Yeah, use what you have, be prepared.
Thank you. That was incredible.
I was dying at those videos. Oh my god. You're like stabbing, stab. You blind your opponents. Added bonus, needles stay in the opponent.
Let's see, what kind of award is that worth? I would say definitely get the most practical award. I think your advice could be taken and anyone can use that now in their own life. Their escape routines, whatever, maybe they're trying to get a new job, maybe they're trying to just get out of their day-to-day. Maybe they could use some of the tools you've discussed on this podcast. Michael, your analysis was incredibly in-depth. I would say that's on the same level as maybe like an Ancient Aliens.
Yes, thank you. That's what I was going for. Oh, perfect.
The pictures and stuff as well were very also in that camp. Christine, yours was the most fun. I think you had the most game. Yours was all about the games and the drugs. It's the fun award. So to just wrap things up, if I'm going to summarize what this book is about, there's a lot of gaps. I'm not totally clear on how the story plays out here, but there is an assassin who's the main character, and she's in a camp, and they say if you want to get out of the camp, you got to do these games. The games are poorly described and very brief, and she wins the games, but while tripping out and cheating through magic, and she falls in love with the king. I don't know if we didn't really discuss that, so I'm putting that in there. That's what I think is gonna happen.
She absolutely does not fall in love with the king.
Yeah, what's next on the list here?
Is this the next
Crown
one?
of Midnight.
Oh,
Okay.
nice, Michael. If we have any viewers, you should send us your details and then we'll post them.
And our Instagram handle is going to be _the_bookends_. We're going to be giving in-depth book reviews that you never asked for.
We're called the Bookends, in case we didn't say that.
Yeah, we haven't.
At the very end. At the very end. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and ring that bell for the notifications.